We didn't expect it, but Edward James Olmos just walked in the room. And as you know, if you've seen CNN or read the paper or whatnot, he is single-handedly very involved in the cleanup movement with South Central Los Angeles and areas that really took a hard hit during the last few days. And in fact, the other day, let us commend you listeners, the other day we took a call from Edward, I guess it was Friday morning.
Yeah, you called Friday morning early.
You guys have done it. I must say, you guys are going to throw stuff around. I must tell you, your help has been extraordinary. I mean, when we called on Friday and we asked for the help, I'm telling you, they came. And within half an hour, we had a dump truck, a huge dumpster.
That's what we heard. Makes us proud.
And then after that, they kept on coming back. By yesterday, we had 6 dump trucks around our area, and I know that we're more going into the other areas, you know.
And we understand that it's already looking a lot better.
Well, you know, again, the actual burned out buildings have not been gutted out yet, but the streets where the people walk, where they have to see, you can see that it has been touched, that there has been care being taken in understanding that there's been a tragedy there. It made all the difference in the world.
Do you feel that has to be an inspiring situation when these people who the night before burnt down this building or a couple nights before see all races kind of coming together and just picking up stuff off the street, sweeping?
I'm not sure what they thought, man. You know, I never stopped to think about what effect did this have on them. All I knew is the effect that it was having on me and children that I saw coming. Not adults too, but really the kids is what I was looking at. I was so devastated by the fact that children had seen these images. Man, that I couldn't even begin. And it's not like, you know, what happens in a motion picture or a television program. Okay, it was a situation where all of a sudden they saw families, entire families, walking into situations and committing crime that, and then watching the brutality of one race against another, and in the way that it was, you know, the commentary that was being put over the pictures, the images, the reality, the stark realism was so much so that it ended up devastating me as an adult at 45 years old. I could only imagine what it would do to a 10, 12, 15, or 3 or 7-year-old.
Do you have children?
Yeah, I do.
How did you handle this?
I grabbed the broom.
I mean, how did you?
I grabbed my broom and my kids and said, "Let's go."
The kids went with you.
Yeah.
And you said, a question came up Friday later on in the show, like, how do we as parents handle this with our children?
The best way is to discuss it with them, of course, you know, just to find out how they feel. But I think that really, they have to do something. You must physicalize, I think, this psychologicalness, or else you're going to act it out somewhere else. Why not act it out with a broom and a dustpan out in the middle of the streets? Do you know that yesterday we had hundreds and hundreds of people, well, thousands of people were on the streets cleaning, okay? But I took hundreds, literally hundreds, and walked down Broadway, Spring, Main Street, and cleaned the streets and Hill Street, and just cleaned streets from First all the way down to Olympic and past Olympic. People just picking up trash. You know, I had never seen the city downtown clean, and we cleaned. We actually went into the Mission District and the Skid Row and the homeless. And they were shocked. They saw, you know, hundreds of people converging on them with brooms and you know, they were afraid. You know, they got afraid. They said, "Please don't take my box." You know, and then we said, no, we're not here to take your box. We're here to really just sweep around here and clean it. And how do you feel? You know, people were giving them water, giving them food. You know, and people were shocked. You know, and it was like the best feeling in the world. And
you use the word people, but we feel it's important that you say people of all races, all colors, all backgrounds.
They were all there, man. I mean, they came from San Diego to Oakland, from Oakland and San Diego and all the parts in between in the state of California, Fresno, Bakersfield, you know, Visalia, you know, Ventura, and of course all the counties around us and cities around us.
What can they do at this point?
There's still a lot of work to be done in that area.
Are there organizations?
Put a broom out your window. Put a broom out your window and drive into the area. Everybody knows exactly what you're there to do, and they know exactly that you're not there to gawk, and you're not there to, you know, pass judgment, and you're not there to pose some kind of a fear to them.
Right.
Put a broom out your window and drive into the area and get to work and pull your kids. If they were smart in the cities right now, if in this city, they would honestly grab the kids and take this week and take groups of children into that area. You know, people say, hey, man, there's a war going on. There is. But at the same time, there isn't. This is not a war. This is our people. Then they come in black, white, brown, red, and yellow, and there are people raging, and their misplaced anger in respects of the fact that, well, not misplaced. They are definitely know what they're doing, but they're taking advantage. A lot of those kids were taking advantage of the situation. And at the same time, there's a lot of anger. I said on the air, on a television station, I'm getting my broom. That's all I said. I'm getting my broom. And I left. And then at 6 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning, I was over sweeping the streets. And then there was 10, and then there was the Community Youth Gang Services came over. They brought in over about 20 people, and they started helping immediately. And bingo, pretty soon there was 100, and then there was 300, and then there was 500. Then the next day there were thousands and thousands and thousands of people. In other words, they immediately went to the attack on the situation and brought in the majority of the good feeling that we do have as a body, all colors, races, and creeds together. Like we always are. I mean, you know, we always are together. There's no way you can't. Yes, we're segregated in this. We have different pockets of different people, but even within those pockets, you have a situation. There's a lot of Koreans. There's a lot of African Americans. There's a lot of Latinos living in the South Central and working in the South Central LA area. They have, and yes, there is tension, but at the same time, there's a lot more harmony than there is tension. We saw just the tension-filled situation come to a boiling point because of one thing. And this is where it starts, is the human value as an entire body. The entire body and the head has no understanding of it. The human body of people, with our leaders not having any understanding that their presence, that their values, that their system has been the thing that has penetrated into the whole body and the brain. I mean, when you have a brain that is telling you that it's okay to bail out the S&Ls for $550 billion, and we don't have enough money to bail out our understanding of education, of welfare, of understanding of housing, of understanding of insurance, and understanding of the age, you know, people with age, you know, all of these different problems that we have, then you say to yourself, oh, wait a minute, this is off balance, heads out of whack. The situation of teaching us the behavior that has just been taught to us by Congress and the Senate, you know, with the way they balance their books. If you guys had balanced your books that way, you wouldn't have a TRW. You couldn't get anything. You couldn't go out and buy anything on time. They wouldn't trust you for writing bad checks. So, again, I think that the basic fundamentals of value systems of the society as a whole, how do you change that? Do you know tens of thousands of people came out and changed their value system by going out on the streets? That was their commitment. And a lot of those people, including myself, learned a lot by being out there.
If there's good to be had through this is where the good starts.
This is where it starts.
The fork of the road, you're taking the good fork. If there's good to be had out of this violence, maybe it slapped us in the face a little bit, like this is the way it is, these are the problems we have.
Now, it doesn't begin to even scratch the surface of the problem, because the problem is so deep-rooted and took so many years. You'd have to start by recognizing the pain of yourself from experiencing it, the pain of the people who gave it to you to experience, the pain of the people's fathers and mothers and grandfathers and grandmothers before them who had to get to the point for the kids to act in this behavior. You'd have to go back to the Native American and understand his pain when the first person turned around and said to him, hey, you know what, I want your land, and you know what, move out of here. You have to go all the way back to that. I mean, the best analogy that I came up with in this whole thing was a situation. I remember what in this country, what we hailed as a great moment in our history was a riot, which was the Boston Tea Party. No taxation without representation. And they went crazy. They went over there and dumped all of their own tea into the ocean, you know, and got mad about it. And then waited until Paul Revere came up the corner and said, hey, they're coming. And then they went into war. And, but we take that as a declaration of independence. Okay, well, this is a Boston Tea Party 1992 style, and it's a terrible comparison because people were killed. But the human being has always used this method to draw attention. And the sadness is it's the worst attention that you could ever draw. This is the kind of attention that if you feed it, it's gonna be springing up in in different situations in different ways. And it's terrible to even talk about it because you propagate the idea. And that becomes very difficult to handle. But at the same time, if you don't look at it, if you don't understand it, my belief is that if we educate our children, and if we value the system of education, so much so that we realize that the grammar school teachers, and especially the kindergarten teacher, are the most coveted and most unbelievable aspect of our society. And when we hold them up as high as we hold actors and disc jockeys and tennis players and golfers and basketball players, and we hold them at least as high, if not higher, because none of those guys, including myself, could have been doing any of what we're doing without a grammar school teacher. All right? The basic fundamental. When we have that as a human body, as a society, you will then be starting to deter drug abuse, teen pregnancy, alcoholisms, all the isms, and a lot of the problems that are attacking us. Self-esteem. I mean, give kids self-esteem when he's 4 or 5 years old and keep it going. And guess what? They don't want to. They won't want to be in harm's way. This is very interesting. When you realize that the kids that were out there didn't care anymore about getting hurt. They didn't care. Let them come. Come on, watch this. Boom, watch this. They would not get out of harm's way. They don't. When a person doesn't get out of harm's way, they don't mind inflicting harm. And that's the case that we had.
All right, now we're assuming that, and again, you have, to a degree, as far as media is concerned, you have spearheaded the cleanup, and we're assuming that the cleanup continues. Are there areas that it's focused on this morning, for example?
Yeah, there is. There's an area right now that if they go into the area, they need to there's on the corner right now of Vermont and Martin Luther King Avenue, there is a auto parts store that needs desperate help in getting all of the rubble and stuff that's inside. It's not burned down, so they're trying to refurbish it and get it restocked so they can reopen. We did that to as many stores as we could yesterday. We went into stores and helped them to get all of the stuff out so that they can restock. And I thank Thrifties, because I think Thrifties is going to open real quick in there. And that would make the biggest difference of anything that we could ever do, is to reopen so that within a week after the situation, those stores are working again and functioning. That would be the greatest asset to that community and to us as a people, to say how fast we moved.
So that was the corner of Martin Luther King
and Vermont.
Okay, so if you're moved and you want to grab a broom and go down and help out, there is a focused piece of workforce that's happening there to get them back. And then if there's going to be other areas on other days for other people.
I also want to say this. You can call me direct and or go to any church and take back, or call me and I'll take it back for you, stuff that was taken during this event.
The looted
stuff, because a lot of people are having second thoughts about this, and now that they realize that they were caught up in the whole melee of the thing, they realize and say, Jesus, I don't feel very good. And especially if you have children. If you have children and you are involved in this, bring your children, give it back to me. I will turn around and thank you and thank your children. You'll all feel better about it. I will take the stuff back. They won't ever ask me anything, and I won't tell them nothing, and we'll get this stuff back to these people and everything. If not, just take it to your local church and just give it to the local church there, any Catholic church, any church. Just walk in and say, this stuff was taken, and here you go, it's back. It was taken from such and such a store, and that's it. And they'll let you just walk in and walk out, and you'll feel good about it.
No questions asked.
No, nothing.
It's like
nothing.
an amnesty thing.
Yeah, just do it. It's great for the soul.
Okay.
All right, Edward, thank you again. We very much appreciate you caring and your effort on this part, and you've played an important role for many people as far as this thing is concerned.
And if you need us for anything else, for like the dump truck, anything, let us know. And
Okay, the one thing, it's just if you want to contact me directly and have the situation, so you want me to take it back for you, if that be the case, you can get me at 818-559-0001.
All right, that number will be held with our switchboard. So if you heard what he said, if you were one of those that were caught up in the fever of it and happened to grab a few things and you're feeling guilty about it, that phone number will get you Edward James Olmos. He will take the material and return it for you, no questions asked.
Or as he said, go to your local church. No questions asked.
No questions asked. Just take it on back. You guys, I came here for one reason, man. That's just to say thank you. Because the strength that you guys have, you don't even, well, I guess you might know. It's profound, all right? You say, when you say something, people do.
And that makes us so proud. We're proud that our listeners that listen to this program, there's not that many of them, but the one that do listens, they care. And
the three guys came down. They love you.
All right, Edward James Olmos sharing his...
Thanks, Edward.
It's kind of an update on what the situation is as far as that's concerned. So we welcome him in.
As you heard Edward say, the children are the biggest victims in this. And when the children are the victims, that just means that future society is the victim. So if you can't go down there with a broom and take your children down, if you feel uncomfortable with that, that's your prerogative. But what we ask you to do is when the news, and we hope that they focus on this, the local news channels focus on the cleanup and the groups of people that Edward was just talking about, going down, just sweeping up, picking up things. Let the children see that on television then. Let them, and discuss that with them.